Welcome to the Unofficial Steelers Podcast, the podcast so unofficial it doesn't have a home. Here's your host, from In Hindsight, Nathan Heights. From Steelers Nation Australia, Mark Davison. And from State of the Steelers, Daniel J. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back here. I believe it's episode 20, guys, correct? Episode 20?
That is
I think
correct.
so.
Episode 20 of the Unofficial Steelers Podcast, with obviously Mark, Daniel J, and we'll be talking about the Monday Night Football game coming into this coming Monday with the Steelers and Colts. But anyway, Mark, Daniel, how your guys' nights going?
Not.
Well, how's your breakfast going, Mark?
I haven't had it yet.
How you haven't had breakfast yet?
I'm waiting. I woke up, had a coffee, played, like I was telling you fellas, played a bit of Risk.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be new professional
well,
champion in the next, probably next 2 months, I reckon.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Well, sounds like a pretty good morning for you.
So you're gonna get the Risk medal next to the pickleball medal that you have? Is that what we're looking for?
I might be a coach soon too. I got no real jobs. I've got that many individual jobs. I can make some money. I could be a coach very soon, possibly in the next 3 months. So, and if you don't know what you're doing, just speak with confidence, and you're fine.
That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do.
But other than that, I'm doing pretty well. It's my 11 a.m. and your guys is like what, 12 midnight or something?
Midnight. It's almost 6:45, Mark. It's almost 6:45.
Whoa! It is dinner time. See?
Yeah, it sure is.
We've had ours. Daniel, how was your Thanksgiving?
Oh man, my Thanksgiving was pretty awesome. We had two turkeys. We had one in the oven, one fried, the deep fryer that my in-laws had never tried it before, and so I blessed them with a turkey deep fried by yours truly, and came out amazing. Amazing, in my opinion. And so we had a good time. That's time. Good. How about yours? How was yours?
Yeah, it was good. It was just me, Kelsey, and my grandma for this Thanksgiving. So I didn't really have to make anything. Didn't really have to make a lot, but it all came out good. Steelers fan, thank you for tuning in. I believe, Daniel, that's your wife, correct?
That is true.
Yeah, so thank you for taking the time out of your night to tune in. I'm sure Daniel's been giving you a headache about Kenny Pickett.
I got a question about this turkey, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys even like turkey, or do you have to have it because it's Thanksgiving? Because I always find it's like a bit drier sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it's not like kangaroo, Mark. It's not like kangaroo.
No, but it's not like chicken, is it?
No,
Wait.
No. It's not like it's. If you just have a plain turkey and a plain chicken, like there's probably a little bit of similar taste there. Like if you literally don't do anything with it,
Right?
But Thanksgiving, like it's kind of, you think the turkey stuff. Like for us, we had baked chicken. We didn't do turkey or anything like that. So we literally did baked chicken, and we had like some of the other sides that kind of associate with Thanksgiving too and stuff. But that's kind of like I don't know what you want to call it. It's kind of the main character. It seems like when it comes to Thanksgiving stuff, people will kind of do turkeys and
So
all
you
that.
gotta like put some like flavor to it and whatnot, spice it up kind of style for the turkey. Because every time I've had turkey on a sandwich, it's probably different, but it's always been a bit drier. I don't know. Maybe I'm buying from the wrong shop.
Well, you can do like a lot of different things with it where it's not like that. Uncle Doug, what's up, man? Thank you for tuning in. George, welcome back, man. Yeah, and it's funny too, because like a lot of different animals, like what George said, like so many different things do taste like chicken. Like I've had rattlesnake, and it tastes just like it. Now I can't eat it knowing what I'm eating. Like I can't. It really is gross. But if you would not know, like if I would give you a thing of cooked rattlesnake and you had no idea that it was,
you know what's funny about that, right? I had, when I was working once in Canada as a steward washing dishes, the chef gave me like cow's heart, like beef heart or whatever it was. And if he didn't tell me, because he told me first what it was, I was like, I don't want to try that. It's cow's heart.
Yeah.
If he didn't tell me, I would have loved it. But because he told me what it was, I was like, oh boy. It was okay. He gave me a heart, dude. I don't know why he had that.
That's freaking disgusting, dude.
Well, it's not what you think. It's not the full thing. It was like you know, like it was like a bit of beef chunk, but I was like, he told me what it was first. Like, don't tell me what it was first. Tell me after.
Hey, so
Yeah, I mean,
Mark, do y'all have turkeys in Australia?
Yeah, we have wild turkeys in Australia.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay. How big
But
are they?
I don't
Like,
know.
probably like the size of a raptor, right?
Raptor.
Freaking vicious out there. It's a
God.
different world in Australia. I've been watching the YouTube recently.
It is. It's a different. It's a different atmosphere up there, huh, Mark?
Well, I won't go into my spider story again, but I got attacked the other day, right?
Got
And
attacked.
but you know what? I actually ran over a bird too the other day as well. A magpie flew into my car, so that was fantastic. Like that was pretty insane. But there is quite a few things that can sweep you and stuff like that. Like this, even when I talk about it with Britsburg Owen, like there are a lot of things that can kill you here, which is crazy, right? And if you're not ready for it, and you got to do like a spider check, check your shoes for spiders, check your shoes for snakes if you're out in the bush, you know what I mean? But yeah, last week I was driving my car around, and the damn bird flew into my car, and I was like, "What are you doing, bird?" And I had no time to slow down. And they're pretty big too. They're not the size of
a
raptors,
freaking
though.
bird flying in through your car, dude.
Yeah, I hit it on my left light, and I think it's okay. So I didn't go back to check on the bird. I was just like, see you later. You know what's crazy though? I know we haven't talked about Steelers, but I saw the other day in my area a helicopter fell from the sky, like dead set 10 minutes from where I live.
Jeez.
Like it's crazy. I think I might have sent you guys the. Well, I think I sent to you, Daniel.
I think so. I think I saw something.
Yeah, the whole thing just went down, dude. Went right down.
Yeah. I thought that was
nuts.
I didn't know that was 10 minutes from your house. I thought that was some kind of like weird illusion because the propellers didn't look like they were moving very fast.
No, I've never seen like I was driving around and I went to the area about 25 minutes after. So I was in the same area, doing Uber. And I would have been scared shitless if that like ran down on me. Everyone survived though. 3 people survived, but the thing is, the pearls is turned off, and the guy was trying to land safely onto the road and went boof, right down. I've never seen that. It's crazy.
Steelers Girl 808. Hello, thank you for tuning back in. Appreciate each and every one of you being here. Well, we're going from birds, we're going from turkey, we're going from kangaroos to Steelers and Colts. We're going to pigskin. That's what we're changing to. We're going to pigskin.
Go.
So, so guys, we all know Steelers and Colts this Monday night. I think if Monday Night Football was able to be flexed, I would imagine this game would have probably been flexed. So not really sure how many people are really excited for this game ultimately, unless you're a fan of either team. But so that's kind of what we're going to be talking about, getting into the nitty gritty about it. What do we kind of want to see? What do we maybe think we're going to see? What are really the important things of this football game that really matter for the rest of the way? Because I think after the Steelers lost to the Bengals, I think we can all sit and agree that that was the nail in the coffin in terms of any type of second half push to find themselves in any type of hunt in any type of way. And so really at this point, and I really think it's kind of been this way throughout the year too, but at this point, as you see in the title of the video, it's about growth now. That's what it is. It's about the growth of the team. It's about the growth of some of these young guys that the team hopes turns into key players. It's also about seeing some of the guys that we know are going to be here longer term and them having a second half. And that's what I've been saying for a while. I want to see the team have a strong second half. I want to see them finish strong. I'm not one of these fans hoping for a top 5 pick and want them to lose every game and have everybody play like ass and then complain about it. So that's what we're really going to be talking into. Everybody in the chat, you guys know you guys can put in your thoughts on things we talk about. We go over them. If you guys have any questions you want us to if you want to get kind of our thoughts on anything, feel free. But thank you all for tuning in. So let's kind of start off here, guys, with really this, how do I want to say it? Just really kind of what is it that you guys, at this point of the season, the Steelers are 3-7. What is it that are really important things for you guys individually that you want to see Monday night, that you want to see the rest of the way? Because we know that this team isn't going anywhere. We know that this team is not pursuing a playoff push that obviously they hoped before the season started that they still wanted to aim for. But still, there's still 7 games left to play. So what is it individually, personally, both of you guys in the chat, what is it that you guys are still excited about? What is it that you guys are still excited for this Monday night game and the rest of the way? And that's kind of important, even though the season's pretty much done in terms of postseason and et cetera, et cetera. But what are the other things still there? So Daniel, go ahead.
So this team that they're going to be playing this Monday night is a team that's also struggling. But, I would like to say I want to see growth, but I don't think we're going to see a lot of growth in this game because the Colts defense is really, really good. They held the Eagles to less than 20 points. I believe that, if their offense could score 20 points, I think they'd have 8 wins. That's how good this defense is that the Steelers are going up against. And so going with that realistic, opinion about the Steelers, opponent this upcoming game, what I want to see is just a full game from the offense. I want to see maybe perhaps, I don't think we're going to see more than 20 points put up on the board here just because, you look at some of the teams that they held under 20 points, Chiefs, Eagles, teams of that stature. It would be amazing if the Steelers could score over 20 points in this game. I think that would be a huge step forward. But realistically, what I'm looking for is less 3 and outs. I'm looking for, this team to build momentum. I'm looking for this team to still win. I think this is a very winnable game. You look at the offense for the Indianapolis Colts, especially up front and with their offensive line and what they've done all year and the lack of mobility at the quarterback position. This could be a, welcome back, TJ Watt in the sack portion, division of his game.
Yeah.
But what I'm looking for is the Steelers to, not get as many 3 and outs, move the ball down the field and do that for the entire game. I had talked earlier about this game and what I don't want to see is the Steelers score all their points the entire game in 1 quarter, basically.
Yeah.
So,
Mark, what about you? What are you? What are important things that you're still kind of excited for, wanting to see for this game Monday and the rest of the way here?
So I've just been crunching the numbers, right? And I'm the guy that is from Dumber and Dumber. So you tell me there's a chance. Now I'll start with this because there is a chance, but honestly speaking, I do want to see what Daniel says, a full game. I want to see the players want to win. I really do. And that starts with the offense, it finishes with the defense. It's the whole collective thing. We just haven't had this winning culture for a very long time. And we're always, even with this game, the old Steelers would probably be favorite and we'd take care of business. I think Mike Tomlin has a really good record on Monday night. It's Mike Tomlin versus Jeff Saturday, things like that, right? But there's still a chance. Now, here's something interesting. Right now, and I know it's playoffs, but here it is. 7th seed right now is New England at 6-6. They just lost to the Vikings. The 6th seed right now is the Jets 6-5. Here's a funny thing. If the Bears beat the Jets, I think Justin Fields is out and I think Nathan Peterson's playing. If they beat the Jets, right? If they beat the Jets, our draft pick goes higher, but we get a chance for the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Then next week, here's something interesting I just found out. Next week in week 13, the Buffalo Bills are playing the Patriots. They would want to end them. So they want to, of course, win the division, end them. So if the Patriots lose, they're 6-7, right? If the Jets then versus the Vikings, if they lose, there's 2 seeds right there that have lost 2 games in a row. So there is a little bit of a chance to be optimistic. But here's the biggest thing. It doesn't matter what they do. It's what we do. And we haven't done anything. No matter if it's on Kenny, if it's on the offense, if it's on the offensive line, the running backs, the whole team is just like, they can't back it up. So this is the point right now. If there was any other point, and I'm like, hype, this is the point right now. Because you got Monday Night Football against the Colts and Matt Ryan, who's not like, he's I feel like maybe a bit like Kirk Cousins. Like, he's okay, but not the best, And if TJ can come around the corner and get him, This is the point where if the Steelers don't win, they get gifts all over the shop, and they're still only 3 games away. They can win this game and put themselves in a position to go into Falcon territory and win that game and be 1 game behind the playoff race. They really can. But they want it enough? That's it. And these are the messages that Tomlin should be sending to his team and the organization. The Rooney should be running around, and Cameron Hayward should be running around and just getting everyone pumped up and saying, how bad do you want it, right? And this is why it's so frustrating, because I thought that was last week with the game with the Bengals. I was so hyped up, and it was a hard game. It really was. But individually speaking, like, I want to see the team get better and just improve. Like, I'm not a tank guy. I don't believe in that because I don't really follow the draft too much. And in the offseason, I might have to do some more work to investigate who's who in the zoo. But it doesn't really intrigue me until they are a Steelers player. But in that being said, if they can beat the Colts and the Patriots and Jets start to fall a bit, it's going to open up that seed, that 7 seed and 6 seed, because it's really the Colts, us, and the Bengals that are fighting for it. You never know. But we're going to win.
Well, that's the thing. They definitely got to win.
It means nothing if we don't win.
Mark, I like the optimism. I like the try to still put in a perspective that things are still possible. It's going to be another test offensively, because we know the Colts defense, really how good they've been, how good that they play the pass really well. So it's going to be one of those things, and same, like, I don't want to see 3 and outs. You want to progress from that. And we need to see more conversions on 3rd downs, more productive, more productive. How do I want to say it? Like, not conversions, but more productive, like, where we're not seeing drives being stalled and it's pushing you back another 10, 15 yards, whether it's penalties, whether it's a play that's being called that loses yards. Those are things that have haunted the offense all year as well. And at this point, like, you need to be seeing more production on 3rd down, more things where it's 2nd and 10. You're not running for 2 yards, right? You're not putting your offense in a hole now to have a longer 3rd down. We need to see more things like that. And I think another thing too, feed Najee Harris on Monday. Give him the ball. Continue to he's been running the ball really well these last 2 weeks. And with Jaylen Warren being out, Anthony McFarland's going to kind of jump in there. We haven't seen him all year. So we know it's going to be the Najee Harris thing again, where he's pretty much going to be taking all the snaps, all the carries. And I like him having another game. Less jet sweeps and passes behind the line of scrimmage. Yeah, like, you're going to need against a defense like this, you're going to need to get yourself in spots where you're not derailing your drives, where you're not going to be able to be productive against a strong defense like that, especially with how this offense is. So you really kind of need your best foot forward. And Michael O'Malley, thanks for tuning in, man. How are you doing tonight? You need to put your best foot forward offensively here, not your best foot forward in the sense of scoring all these points, but where you can't be putting yourself farther back, especially against this type defense. So that's another thing as well that they have to really kind of take care of. And I like it too. I like the Colts offensive line's been banged up all year. You know, Matt Ryan's not a guy that can use his legs. So do you guys like seeing Matt Ryan on his ass at least 4 more times?
Oh yeah, I think the Steelers, this is going to be a big game for the defense.
Yeah.
This is going to be a huge game for the defense.
I think the defense might need to win this game.
Yeah, definitely so. And I think that might be the mentality going into this game. And unfortunately, I think that type of mentality is probably going to handcuff Kenny Pickett in this offense into, like, don't turn the ball over and we win this game. You know, that type of mentality, which isn't uncommon from this team.
Yeah.
You know, they've gone into that. Ben Roethlisberger's talked about it even, you know, early in his career where, you know, they had a strong enough defense where if they don't just turn the ball over, they're going to win. And
right.
So I feel that this might be the game plan. It's going to be kind of safe. As far as jet sweeps and passes behind the line of scrimmage, I get it, especially when they don't work. However, In fact, me and Mark are part of the Behind the Steel Curtain Slack channel. Did you see the play that they pulled out on the
Oh
screen?
yeah,
It was a screen
yeah.
play, and Naj would have had at least 20, 25 yards.
Oh, I think it was
However,
to Frymouth. There was Frymouth in there.
oh yeah, that was the
that one.
screen. That was the wide receiver screen coming out of the half, if that's
Yeah.
the correct one. And what ended up happening is they had JC Hassenauer in there. Probably what the issue is. He didn't get his right block. He didn't make it to the person that he needed to get to. He ended up double teaming somebody else and leaving it open, and ended up becoming a loss. However, had they hit their blocks as supposed,
Yeah,
that would
two
have been
fellas whiffed on the left hand side. Two of the offensive linemen went both to the left hand side. They left open. I think the middle linebacker came over and made the tackle. They both whiffed to the left hand side. I think it was a screen to Muth, and I think Jeffrey Benedict pointed it out on the All 22. So then these things is like they're just not. It's just something's not happening for our Steelers this year. Like I was more confident last week for a chance to win than this week, and that sounds funny. And even the betting right now too.
Well, when you look at it, I mean, it's still a very young offensive line together. And I think that the Steelers maybe, not addressing the left side has been an issue. You look at last year, and this was brought up to me by one of my buddies. He's like, have you noticed that the guards in the center don't pull as much as they used to? And I think that's because they don't have a pulling guard or center. And that's why we're seeing these issues constantly happen. I think that's why last year and early in this training camp, the Pittsburgh Steelers were pushing very hard for Kendrick Green to be a guy, you know what I mean? Because he had that pulling ability. He was able to get out there, get in front, and do those types of things. As far as what they have now, you have James Daniels and you have Dotson as guards. Those guys aren't pulling guards. I knew the minute that I got to Latrobe and I saw Daniels walking around with two knee braces and walking like he's pregnant to the line, wobbling around, that he was not a guy that was going to be pulling out in front of anybody. And so, this team isn't fundamentally built the right way for what they want to do. And so it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. And you're going to see plays like that, especially if you don't have those interior linemen that can pull out there the way they need to.
Yeah, and that's a great point.
The line's a big issue too, as well, isn't it? We just haven't it went from having all-star players with Big Ben, and then all of a sudden the reality really was like, holy crap, I was really excited to see James Conner in there, but now the more I watch it and the more I'm trying to understand about the game, of course, and the line's my weakest issue because I don't watch it as much as I should. But they're just in that certain play we referenced in the tight end, the two guys whiffed, and you've seen Dan Moore get carved up completely. It's all part of football for sure, but we definitely have missed that attitude. I go back and watch, even 5 years ago, where you see Ramon Foster or guys working down the field with their blockers, and you see them have separation and have more push. You don't really see that with his offensive line. You just don't. And then of course Mason Cole went out. I think he might be limited this week too, so they might start JC. But these are just guys that are plug-and-play guys. They're not, the announcers. No one's talking about our O-line, right? Because they're just an average piece, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, and that's something that the Steelers have really seems like they've avoided in the draft the last 3 years, is establishing, getting guys further O-line. They've kind of just. It was like with the guys they had with Pouncey and all them, they literally just tried to wring out as much as they possibly could and not get anybody where they could just kind of be behind and then come forward once those guys start to go on. So that's the thing too. And I think also that they didn't do enough for their O-line in the offseason. I think that will change a little bit in this current offseason, but that's it. I'm sorry, but Dan Moore, you're relying on a 4th round guy who kind of really started playing right away. And sometimes, and there's times where guys like that can produce. Absolutely. It's not saying from the start, Dan Moore was going to be a bust or was going to struggle or not be good or anything, but he's not in his second year. He's not really cutting it as the left tackle they need. Kevin Dotson's always injured. Kendrick Green has not turned out to be a good 3rd round pick so far in his career. And so that left side, especially, is something they're going to really have to focus in on this offseason. And so on top of that, with the O-line and really all that considered, I believe Mason Cole actually is going to play, Mark. I think he said that.
Okay.
I think they said that he's expected to play on Monday. I think he was a full participant Friday. So I think that they're expecting him to go Monday. And I think other than that, I think really everybody else, Anthony McFarland's going to play, all those guys and everything. But that's something that you have to focus in on the offseason and continue to kind of let this group kind of play through together, because James Daniels is going to be here. Okorafor, they have an opt out with him where he can become a free agent after this year based on how they structured his contract. But if they want to keep him around, he's got 2 more years under his deal. So that left side, they're really going to have to work on. They're really going to have to hit something there, and even bring in somebody that can bring that type of offense that some guys in the O-line can't bring. Were you going to say something, Mark?
That's the other bloke I was thinking about. I just looked it up then in 2019, right, for the year, was David DeCastro too. Those kind of guys, right? Those kind of guys would actually push players down the field and create those running lanes and that kind of stuff. And you just don't see it with this team.
No.
And you look at the big guy like Kevin Dotson, and you're not seeing that physicality. Of course, they went and got Cole. I think he's a pretty good center, and things went a bit wishy-washy when he wasn't in there. But I don't feel like it feels like when I was watching this team a few years ago, that you had Big Ben, you had the O-line was, getting older, of course, pounds, but it felt like they all wanted to play together. I don't know if this team really does. I don't know. There's no one big star on the offensive line. Of course, they've got, who's the Colts got? Nelson. Who's the guy? Quentin Nelson.
Yeah, they got Quentin Nelson up there.
He's a big fella. He's a people mover. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can, have any control. And like you said, the defensive line for the Colts, will they feast on us and get to a rookie quarterback?
Right.
This game is pretty 50-50 because of those reasons. Like,
we
might have to rely on our defense yet again if they can show up to make it a 17-10 game to win.
Yeah, and that might be it. And I think this defense can pressure Matt Ryan into maybe creating a turnover too. Are you guys cautious? Are you guys think that and not that like he's it should always be that way whenever we're facing a guy like this, but he's been injured a little bit. He hasn't really had the year he's had last year. Are you guys concerned at all about Jonathan Taylor running against his defense?
Yeah, but I think the Steelers are going to focus on Jonathan Taylor. And if there's one thing that the Steelers do is when they focus in on one player, they tend to take that player out of the game. And so, I think they're going to focus in on Jonathan Taylor and make Matt Ryan beat them. His main target is Michael Pittman. So, I think that you're going to have Mika over him quite a bit. And so I'm really not concerned about this Colts offense, to be honest with you. As long as everybody stays healthy on the defense and the offense doesn't just do complete 3 and out and gets this defense tired, and then that might be another question. But as long as that doesn't happen, which, I don't think this Colts defense or offense is going to be having many non-3 and outs themselves. I think it's going to be a very relatively low game and probably low yardage. What's up, Mark?
I got a question for you, Daniel. Who do you think scores? Because of course both our offenses are pretty bad, right? Who do you think scores the first TD on offense?
Probably Najee. I think Najee runs one in.
So Steelers scoring first.
Yeah. I think the Steelers are going to win this game. I think the Steelers can handle this team. Not like Mike says there. I don't hate Kenny Pickett. I just I have.
Daniel has not slept for 4 days, ladies and gentlemen. He has not slept for 4 days.
I've slept very well. If you go listen to Terry Bradshaw
in the locker room right behind you.
If you listen to Terry Bradshaw's response on what Kenny Pickett could be, that's about what I've been saying. The difference is I'm not the next Steelers quarterback, but I never said he was a bust. I just said he was probably a B. That's basically what Bradshaw said. But I think that this team can do enough offensively to score at least 17 to 20 points. And I don't foresee the Colts scoring a touchdown. And so when you put those two things together and watch these teams put up like 28 points.
That's how it goes sometimes, dude. That's how it goes. When you see these type of matchups on freaking primetime, man, and these teams aren't really high scoring teams, and then next thing you know, it's a freaking shootout.
Yeah, exactly. It's the issue with, well, not the issue with that, but the on paper, this looks like it's going to be a good defensive battle, you know, and that's where it lies in. It's not so much that the offenses are poor, in my opinion. I think the defenses are that good.
Right.
Now I'm getting hyped up. I'm getting hyped up now. Come on.
You're getting hyped up now, Mark. I'm going to keep trying to hype you up, bro.
If they can win, like I said, if you go back for the ESPN player predictor, there's a chance. There's a chance now. We're only 2 games behind. But well, we can do it. Come on, we can do it. Can we?
I'm for certain that we can win this game.
Something here and kind of get your guys' thoughts on this real quick. We might have briefly talked about it last episode, but I kind of want to hear if it's something that you guys. What's that?
The pigeons.
Was it the pigeons? Oh, yeah, I got actually.
The pigeons. Maybe they'll make their way to Indiana.
No, I tweeted them that, and they, you know what they said back to me, the bastards. I'm not a fan of the Pigeons anymore. I'm done with them. I said to the Pigeons, fly into Indy, and they said, dome, ? I got bagged at by the Pigeons on Twitter. Are you kidding me?
Yep.
1v1 me, bro, Pigeons. You're new to the game, all right? You're 2-0. They went, dome, and I said back to them, I was like, there are doors there. So I'm done. I'm over them, mate. No, I'm done with people who speak for the Pigeons. I like the Pigeons on the field. The guys who speak for them, done with them.
George says pigeons taste like chicken. I'm sure they do. Cook them up pretty good. I'm sure you probably wouldn't even recognize what you're eating.
Is this going to be a thing? Do you reckon if they keep coming back, the Steelers will get around this? Because of course we had duck, that kind of, those T-shirts and stuff like that. Do we just do this? Is like a just a Steeler thing we do? Do you think other franchises, jump on these kind of bandwagons?
When you're 3-7, bro, you have to root for something. Like, you got to remember when it was duck, we weren't looking so great that year either. You know what I'm saying?
I want to go back and watch that if I get a bit of spare time. It was pretty exciting. That Charger game was really fun.
Dude,
that was a fun game. And then Le'Veon Bell, that was the one where he ran in the goal line near the end, right? I think it was the one. Or am I mixing 2 games up? Maybe I think
you're mixing 2 games up. You're mixing 2. I don't think Bell was there anymore.
Right. The Charger game was also when Devin Bush was going off too in his rookie year, right?
Yeah, that was when Devin Bush. He got it in there.
The fumble happened and Devin Bush ran away and no one else touched him. We're like, let's go. That was pretty exciting that season. And now it was like we're excited, but what we just haven't, like you said, I haven't seen the full game. We haven't seen them take control of the game. So
it was like that game there and against the Chargers. I just remember Duck, one of the first passes, Duck goes back and he has Juju wide open and underthrows him by like 15 yards.
Right.
And I was like, oh man, he doesn't have an arm.
that was funny though, because they had to. Well, Mike Tomlin benched Rudolph and said, "You know what? It's up to you, mate." We have
no. That was when Mason got knocked.
Oh, he got knocked out.
Yeah. He got knocked out the game before, and
that's all we had was Duck Hodges, third quarterback.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Well, he was a 4th quarterback that year. He was a camp arm. He was undrafted out of Stanford. He was He was a guy, man. He was a guy for a couple there. I had when I went to Arizona, I went to the Arizona game that year, and they were handing out little rubber ducks to everybody out in the parking lot, man. Like, it was a home game. It was crazy. There was more Steeler fans than Cardinal fans.
Oh, absolutely. It was in that year, dude, that year, like when they played against teams, the Chargers, the Cardinals, and I think there was maybe one other one. I mean, dude, it was literally home field.
They won 24-17 against the Chargers in that year. That was fantastic. 3 for 1 TD. And we're all excited about it. Crazy.
That season was like, it was kind of fun to wait just because of like the story that was kind of going on. And No one, like everyone thought this team was gonna have a top 5 pick now, and then
Oh,
they're
that
8-5.
That was his first career start, 132 yards, 1 TD.
But dude, their defense that year was so freaking good. It really was. Their defense was number 1 in the league across like almost every category. It was so good that season. So that was definitely their best defense probably since like 2010 or 2009, whatever freaking year that was. But I'm still with this Colts game and everything.
Back to the present.
Back to the present. We keep reminiscing on the past because there's not much to reminisce now. But with the Colts game, I don't think that this and it goes for any team, but I don't think that this is a game that's necessarily going to how I want to put this. I don't think it's a game that, like, I think some Steelers fans could look at this game and be like, yeah, we should win, or the Steelers should be favored in a certain way. Like, I don't think that this is I don't think it's gonna be an easy game for the Steelers. I really don't think when you look at the how the Steelers offense has been, and though I think they've done some good things the last 2 weeks. But then we also see other stuff that happens, and it's like disgusting, ugly, and it's not what you want from an NFL offense a lot. And when you go up against a defense with the Colts and you have those things in play, those type of stalled drives, bad play calls, maybe you miss certain receivers that really can keep the drive going or really be some key moments into a game, et cetera, et cetera. Those are things that we've seen happen every week. So I don't really see how that would ultimately change this week against a good team with the Colts. And when you look at the Steelers defense, like, you would think that they would be able to get to Matt Ryan. You think this would be a good game for TJ Watt. Maybe they'd be able to force a turnover and stuff like that. But even at that point, like, I still just don't have much faith in this defense, man. I don't. Like, even though Minka's playing, TJ's there, stuff like that, I just don't. Like, from what I've seen all year, it's just not there. And that's how the team wanted to win with defense this year. And guys just have not performed up to what I think a lot of us expected. Like, Miles Jack hasn't really been anything groundbreaking this year. Not saying that he's been bad this year, but he hasn't really been. We were all really excited, I think, when we had that signing, but he hasn't been that player that he really was his first couple years with Jacksonville.
He's played well in spurts, I think.
Yeah, he's not. It's not a week-to-week thing or anything like that. And I still think that they should keep him around. Absolutely, I still like him. I like what he can bring to the 100%. Table. But he's not that guy that I think some Steeler fans were kind of expecting him to be. Akella Witherspoon, we know he's been a failure this year. Levi Wallace has been injured a lot also, but he's been playing pretty well since he's been back, but he still has some hiccups and everything. Minka, Terrell, they've probably been the best part of the defense. We know Highsmith is having a very nice blossoming breakout year. And then the defensive line just has not done it, man. It just has not done it this year. And it's not saying that there hasn't been any good takeaways, but we know this isn't the Steelers defense that we've been accustomed to at least the last 3 seasons in terms of the front seven. And it still just concerns me. Like, I know, Daniel, you said you're not really you think they're really going to zero in on Jonathan Taylor, which I agree. But I can't sit there and say that I'm too confident that they're going to be able to really keep him limited. I could see them giving up over 20. I could, and it's just how it's been all year. But I'm hoping I would love to see this be a game where they give up minimal points, where they have freaking 4 or 5 sacks this game. And it's all possible. I really think it is. Colts O-line's banged up. Matt Ryan can't move around. They don't really have much of a threat in terms of a vertical offense. And it's definitely something that can happen. But maybe it might take one of these games, a game like this, maybe to get because we saw it in the Saints game. They played pretty well. They blew the gasket in the Bengals. And now you have a next few games against some teams that, not counting the Ravens, but you have, even though they play pretty well against Lamar, but it might be kind of a catalyst game, at least defensively, to like have them get to what we were wanting to.
They got to build confidence. They got the Colts game to build confidence and the Falcons game to build confidence. Did you know the Colts hadn't had a bye yet?
No.
Their bye is week 14.
Yeah, that's a late ass bye.
Crazy?
That's a late ass bye week.
2 more games to have a bye.
Yeah,
because they're like their playoff chances are probably worse than ours, and they got a higher. They got to verse I think New England next week.
Their playoff chance. They have
Sorry,
more
Dallas.
wins than us.
Yeah, I know, but like,
how are their playoff chances worse than ours if they have 1.5 more wins? At the end of the day, you know that there's only one team in the NFL that has a worse schedule than the Steelers, right?
No, but what I'm saying is like because they got the bye and like the bye is so late.
like easier schedule or like in terms of
no record. I'm sorry. They have there's only one team that has the worst record.
Is it the Browns?
No, the Texans.
Oh, they got what?
And that's it. That's it. All the other teams are either tied with the Steelers at 3-7 or better. The Colts are 4-6-1.
Yeah.
Like they have a game and a half, and the other thing about this team is that, and I want to get hyped up about it because there's still a chance, but they not only have to catch up, but they also have to win by, be leading by one game in most of these teams because they've lost to so many AFC teams.
Yeah.
All the AFC East, the Steelers lost to. So, they have to not just match them, but pass them because there's that tiebreaker. It's going to be a tough time. But when it comes to this game, no, I hear your worries and your concerns. I just think that this defense is going to, I don't think they were helped out with those 3 and outs. And then you looked at Burrow was able to move the ball down the field against Arthur Maulet. I don't foresee.
Well, it hurts too when the defense gives the offense at least twice in the second half at the 50-yard line, they can't score a touchdown. So
yeah.
Like that hurts on top of it. And that's why I'm not like the loss last week does not just go solely on the defense. Absolutely not. But they definitely underperformed for sure than like what I think a lot of us were wanting to see and everything.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like this might be a game to where at least for this next stretch of 3 or 4 games, it might get to like where we're seeing the defense start to play. And some of it too has to go with some of the teams they're playing and they don't really have an explosive offense. And it might be a little bit like better on their end, but still like any given Sunday, you still need games like that to really be able to come together too. And at least if they have a strong second half, which is what I've been wanting to see, which is what I still hope to see, because they've only played 2 games in the second half of the year right now.
Right. And I think this defense is only going to get better, though. And I know that's kind of weird to say, but you also have to put a little bit of context. Last week, Micah Fitzpatrick was coming 8 days off of an appendectomy. Another week of getting healthy and letting that surgery point and heal is only going to allow him to get better. Another week, TJ Watt getting better, healthier. There's a concern in the middle linebacker position, especially in coverage. I think Devin Bush probably played his best game this last week. It was, overshadowed by the poor game around him on the defense, but sideline to sideline in coverage, he did okay. Miles Jack, low key, kind of struggles on coverage. I think there's reasons why we see Robert Spillane out there. There was
that's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. It is, and I'm not saying that that's a good thing.
What I give credit with Joe Schobert a little bit. Like Joe Schobert wasn't really impressive last year, but he was at least able to kind of be back there. And he had an interception before back there. He's had a couple pass deflections back there last year when he was aside from Devin Bush and stuff like that. And that's something they got to address in the offseason. Like you got 3 linebackers that play against a run, that can tackle, all that stuff like that. But you need to be able to plug somebody in that you can rely on floating around back there, dropping back, et cetera, et cetera. And that's something they're going to have to bring in because they don't really have anybody that can do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think too with this game, do you guys think if the Steelers lose to Jeff Saturday, you think that there's going to be a lot of backlash on Mike Tomlin that he lost to Jeff Saturday?
Huge. I'm thinking about doing a video straight after this about Mike Tomlin versus Saturday and the repercussions. I think this would be like Steeler Nation are going to lose their mind, and I will probably lose my mind a little bit too. Like he's okay. He's
NFL Live.
Former Colt. He's been on what? Yeah, he's been on TV. He's 1-1 now, but he took it to they took it to the Eagles last week. They almost beat the Eagles.
Yeah, they did.
17-16, the Eagles snuck away with a victory there. So
Yeah.
this would be something where if Tomlin hasn't got his fellas prepared this week, and the same old, then I'm not saying fire him, but it's definitely like I wouldn't be surprised if he's not around for the next 2 years. You know what I mean? Just kind of walks away into the sunset because his deal is up 2024.
Who, Mike Tomlin?
That's probably the better question to ask is, will they rehire him after 2024? You know what I mean? They might just not hire him. I've
always thought that he will leave when he's ready to leave. I've always thought that. I don't think they will ever fire him. I don't think they will ever give him an ultimatum. I think he will. I always thought that he will go when he's ready to move on.
It could be in 2 years' time, though, if things aren't going a certain way. And
and that's something too. And they could be like, "Hey, Mike, we appreciate you here. It's been 20 years or so that you've been here for, man, and we've had a lot of success and et cetera, et cetera." And but maybe at that time he'll be ready too. I mean, who ultimately knows? Did you guys think of anything? I don't even know if you heard or not when this week they asked George Pickens about the last play in the Bengals game, and he said that if it was a big deal, his coaches would have said something to him. And people were starting to say that they were kind of skeptical about what he said there, that there was really no accountability on George Pickens' end, and that none of the coaches really said anything to him about that. You guys think that's a little bit of a concerning thing? Again, that lack of accountability, that lack of voice in the locker room, not keeping guys grounded.
I mean, yeah, this is not even this year issue. I mean, that's not the only thing he said. He also said that going up against this defense was easier. It's harder going up against the Georgia defense.
Yeah, against Georgia defense
in practice. Najee Harris said something similar about the practices last year in Alabama.
Yeah.
And so this is a constant thing. One of the things is that's been constantly said about Mike Tomlin that has been one of his best attributes was that he's a player's coach. He's a good friend to the players, treats them like grown men. And it's starting, in my opinion, if he's not treating, George Pickens with some sort of accountability there, then I think he's sending the wrong message. The last time this team was successful, the coaches weren't the best friends with the players, meaning Todd Haley and Ben Roethlisberger didn't get along, but they sure did a damn good job, putting points on the board with Ben and the Killer Bees. And so, yeah, I'm not on the train of firing anybody yet. And I don't think that Mike Tomlin would leave after this season, especially if it goes away. Similar to Ben Roethlisberger, who couldn't retire when, he lost to the Browns in the playoffs. I don't think that Tomlin's going to go out this way. Now, if the Steelers have 2 losing seasons in a row, I think that's when he starts to consider potentially going in the TV booth. And I think that would probably be his decision.
Well, that's it, though. In 2024, would the Steelers, offer another contract for Mike Tomlin?
If it's a few losing seasons in a row and
things just
Pickett doesn't turn
stagnant, that there's nothing.
Yeah, and Pickett don't turn out to be a guy.
I don't know.
I can see that being.
Is it Devin? What's going on, man? Thanks for tuning in.
Is it the end of 2024 or the start? I'm not too sure.
It's the end. He's contracted through.
So he's got 3 seasons to go before a new contract, basically.
Correct.
So yeah, maybe it's not like a thing where Tomlin's going to be fired, but what's going to happen after that's probably the big question. But I agree with you on the George thing. Like, he needs to be smarter in that position. And he came out and said, "Oh, I played a good game." I don't like that. This is what it's like. Like I keep talking about it. This team plays like a lot of individual success. They don't play together as a team. Like, sure, you shouldn't have done that. Like, you shouldn't have headhunted him right into the end, jumped on him. I think it was a pretty bad look. But the team's young. He's young. But I just don't agree. Yeah, there needs to be some form of like hierarchy and coach laying down the law and saying you can't do that and go, "Oh yes, coach, okay, my bad."
And
but
they have
no accountability.
No, and you're right, Mark. And they have a young offense, and I think it'd be great to go into the offseason and you bring in somebody that's been in successful situations, whether if it's people on the O-line, if it's a receiver, whatever it is. I would love to see them be able to bring somebody, JJ Watt, somebody that will give them 4 games a year. Which would surprise me.
He might have me. He's a free agent next year. I reckon he might come over.
Bring the family.
I reckon.
They probably
I reckon
bring
there's
Trey
a
Evans back
chance.
too. But
There's a-
they need leadership. They need more leadership. They need more accountability in that locker room from coaching. And they need and that's sometimes the reality of it when you have a younger team that is just kind of making their way in the league and stuff like that. You kind of need some people there that have been there, that have done that can give a voice, that players can go to as well and kind of look after them and kind of what they're setting. Cause sometimes that can be cheesy stuff like, oh, they got experience and stuff like that, but it goes a long way a lot of times. It does. It goes a long way a lot having guys like that. And when we saw the Steelers in the 2010s, like so many guys were there that had been in the league 5, 6, 7, 8 years, 9 years, not counting Ben, but like as they started going past the 2010s, like in the mid 2010s and even toward the end, like having Cam, having Ramon, Pouncey, all those type guys, like all that stuff helped. Joe Hayden, all that stuff helped those type of teams in those type of situations and stuff. And so now they have a younger team, and I think it'd be great if they did that, not just going out to get somebody, but you kind of maybe look at a need or something like that. And you bring something in like that, man, because clearly it doesn't seem like anything's getting across from coaching, at least from what we're hearing from players and stuff.
I got a question for you guys. If Tomlin doesn't have a winning season this year, doesn't win next year, like win 7, 8 games, somewhere around there, you think that affects his Hall of Fame status, potential status? Because, what it does, in my opinion, is and this is a big if, not saying this is it, but if he doesn't, if Pickett ends up not being a franchise guy, then he would have not developed a franchise guy. He would have inherited one in Ben. And so do you think he'd still be considered a Hall of Famer? A potential Hall of Famer?
That's a big question.
I still think he would just because of, and it's a good question. I still think he would just because of his resume. Now I'm not saying he would go down as an all-time coach, but I still think that he would still be on a list, I think, in terms of guys that could be voted in, get recognition, stuff like that, because you can't take away what he's done. And I've liked a lot of Tomlin over the years, and I think he is a really good coach. I do. But we all have our problems, and that goes for really any team that's had a long tenured coach. There's things about him they don't like or they disagree with, and that's fine. Like nobody's just going to be completely perfect in absolutely every single thing. But it's a good question to ask. It is. I don't think it ultimately would just because of everything else. But I think too, like, you look at some of the other coaches in the league. I said this last time on the show, like they've had some losing years and losing seasons they've needed. And it might be something that this is kind of what this team needs over, especially these last 3-4 years where it's just kind of really been winning 9 games, winning 10 games, losing the first round of the playoffs. And like, sometimes you need to hit, I don't want to necessarily say a reset button or anything, but sometimes you need something to pull you out of that. And this might be that something. And it might be something that going into the next year, it might be something that doesn't, like I would imagine that they're going to do everything that they can to get the team back on track and stuff, and certain things they can't control either. But there's times where it takes even more than just a bad year, and it might, or things like that. And so that might be something where, like, even if they have another losing season next year, but but what you want to see at that point, and I say the same thing for baseball, what you want to see at that point is like, okay, you have a losing year, but you want to go from here to at least here. Even if you have another losing season, you want to see that. You don't want to stay here or even go under here with another losing year. So even if it's something next year where maybe they win some more games and we see production and stuff like that, it's still kind of a good thing to look at there. And then, you can kind of get the ball rolling, and then Tomlin can, if he starts having those winning seasons again, because he had a year or two of turmoil, stuff like that. If you guys get the point, because Andy Reid's had that, right? Sean Payton's had that, and it's led him to good seasons. And Andy Reid before the Chiefs, obviously. Pete Carroll's had a losing season in Seattle, and even this year, and you got to give credit there. John Harbaugh's had some losing seasons, right? So it's goes against really all really good coaches. Look at Sean McVay this year. Like they're having a terrible year. And I know Stafford's been injured too, but they've primarily had most of their guys there throughout the year, and they've been crap. And so it's one of those things like it might just be something like this to kind of get the team, get things out of there that need gone, whatever that may be. And you can maybe see some flourishing next year, which obviously we all hope we see that. But sometimes you need stuff like that. And I think maybe with Tomlin, like maybe he needs some turmoil like this, get some more things to work with, and then he can kind of start rolling his type of, I don't want to call it regime, but his type of thing going, right? The stuff that he didn't inherit coming in. So, and that's something that's always possible, but we have to wait and see on that stuff.
Tell you what, though, if it does turn out to be the run that I'm hoping and would love to see, and we all love to see him getting out of this nutshell, like out of his own. It's his problem too, right? If he were to get out of his own way, and to never have a losing season is pretty fantastic. I know people they jump on it and go, "Oh, fire that guy." Yeah. No, we want trophies, but
it's hard to win.
It is hard to win. And at the end of the day, if a coach in his whole career never had a losing season, that's crazy. So this is the point now where Tomlin is like, I've never been in this position, I guess, this far into the season. Well, it's in jeopardy of that. 2 more losses, and he can't have that. So,
but that's why I look at it too as a good thing. As much as it sucks, because as we're fans, we want to see the team win. We want to see good things happen here. But that's why, like, it's just something because. And it might be the way I came into the season with, but as we started seeing things unfold, that's why I was like, yes, I want the team to win, but at the same time, sometimes this stuff is good that happens just because as much as it sucks, like sometimes it's needed and sometimes it's good for the benefit of the future of the team and stuff like that. And so with Tomlin, Claudia, what's up, man? We appreciate you tuning in. With Tomlin, he hasn't had that. And now he finally might have that this year where he has a higher pick he hasn't had, where we know the Steelers have some new faces in the front office now, the former Eagles assistant GM or whatever he was there, or GM, whatever. You have Omar Khan now. And it might be a different offseason than what we're accustomed to also. But that's what I mean. Like, I think that it can also be a good thing just because he hasn't been in that and he can finally kind of experience that, see all that, and we can finally weed out those things that need to go. And that might just be the catalyst of getting this team from the 9-7s, the 8-8s, the 10-6s to up here to where we want to see the team be. And it's still going to be a younger team next year, but this team still has talent. And that's why I said, like, they're not far even next year. If they play their cards right in the offseason, if they draft well, they have at least maybe a guy or two that hit right away from the draft, they can find themselves like what we see from worst to first or back in a wild card situation. They're not far away. They still have talent there. They're still a well-rounded team, but a lot of things just didn't work out the way they hoped. There's certain guys that we know need to go. There's coaching situations and questions there. And I think a lot of that will get resolved and it will be a cleaner slate. And you start to see clear, right? Because it's like over these last 3-4 years, like it's kind of been stagnant here. Things are getting a little blurry. Things are getting a little foggy. Now this is happening. It's starting to start to be clear. Okay, we haven't had this in a really, really long time and we need to see. But Britsburg Owen, I disagree. I don't think they're a long way away from competing. I disagree. They got foundational guys on defense. You need to obviously wait and see how Kenny Pickett starts to grow, but you set him up for better success in the offseason. And you need to figure out some coaching things, but it's not, I don't know why you would think that they're a long, long way away. They're not. They have talent there. They're a well-rounded in terms of they develop well. They're able to draft their own guys. We know their drafts the last few years haven't really hit the way they wanted. But in terms of what's there, they have good young talent, but they have to get certain things situated. This isn't me saying that they're going to be a Super Bowl team next year, but this is me saying next year they still have the chance to get themselves back on track to at least get back into competition and everything like that. And with a team like this, with an organization like this isn't the 80s anymore. This isn't the 90s anymore. There's a lot more talent now. Athleticism, there's a lot more athleticism. But see, that's what I'm saying though. Okay, so D-line is poor. Yes, it is. Offensive line's poor. But you don't need to replace the whole offensive line, bro. No cornerback one. Okay, but they have Cam Sutton. Levi Wallace has performed well. You can always go out and make a move. OC is poor. Yeah, I agree. And those are coaching things you need to do, and they're not getting rid of their head coach anytime soon. So like, it's not this laundry list of stuff that they have to do to get better. It's not. Like, I went to this year with the expectations of let's wait and see. Nobody knows how good the team's going to be.
I went in with like 13-4. I went in. I was like, let's go. You know, I'm so keen to see what Trubisky can do. And I was like, got proved wrong.
Well,
but
I think people were excited too, just because he's getting a second chance.
I was excited for TJ, to be honest. TJ and this defense, man. I was really excited for this stuff. I thought
I thought their defense could be top 5, but so many people have underperformed. And so they need some newness there, you know, and they need newness in terms of voice, in terms of, I think, some coaching turnaround they need. And they need some more talent as well on both sides. But I'm just saying, I don't think this team is years away. I don't think this team's 3-4 years away from getting in contention. I think if they can have a strong offseason, I'm not saying that they're going to be a Super Bowl team next year. Not at all. That's something that you have to let play out.
You're saying it this year. That's what you're saying. It's not going to be next year. It's going to be this year.
Right.
Let's get how many we got? We got to get 7.
We got to get 7, Mark. We got to get 7. But I just think that if they can have a good offseason this year, if they can draft well, if they can maybe spend some more money in free agency and bring some more talent in here, that Brian, what's going on, man? If they can just maybe bring some more talent, do something different for agency that they haven't really done for a long time, because their mode of free agency is with Kevin Colbert. They never really went out and made the splashes. It was more so you let the tree fall, and we're kind of there to see who's still standing. And I think that they might be a little bit different. I think Omar Khan's a little bit more aggressive. I like the way he's done some contracts, and he's going to have his first draft too. But really what I'm saying, not to keep going on a tangent here, I just think that, hey, there's talent here. There's good young talent on offense. There's good talent still there defensively, but you need to just play your cards right in the offseason, and you can start to kind of get this train back on track. You're younger. Things are a little bit more fresher. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying, bro, that they're going to be a deep playoff run team next year, but I'm saying I don't think they're far from getting the wheels back on the track, in the sense of being there in the division and going head to head against a Ravens, a Cincinnati, everything like that. I don't think they're that far away from that. Do you guys agree with that?
Maybe.
And you have to let certain things unfold. You have to. I know Daniel's going to start, you know, I know he has his concerns about stuff, but there's other things you have to let unfold as well that you don't know. That's all the unknown. But I'm saying, in terms of things that they can do in the offseason, it's possible. It's possible is what I'm saying.
My concerns lead more also towards the head coach. I think that Mike Tomlin, he does things, and he's brought it up himself. He does things routinely. He's been so routine for so long. I think he's become predictable.
Yeah, he has. I agree.
And that I mean, in every aspect of how he approaches the game, how the game plan is written, what he stays away from, what his tendencies, what he likes, dislikes, things of that nature. And I'm going to find it hard to believe that somebody who's that routine changes their routine. And that's the thing I think they need. I think they need a change. I think they need a change in maybe philosophy, a change in direction, potentially maybe even getting somebody of an offensive brilliance, you know, there as a head guy or at least in charge of the offense. I just don't. I'll believe it when I see it from Tomlin, when it comes to changing his ways. When it comes to changing his ways.
That's fair. And that's something too that, like, he and I agree too. Like, you're right. Tomlin is a certain type of way like that. And it's at a point you need to switch things. And that's why I think too, like, if you make certain coaching decisions, he needs to be more hands off with stuff too. He even said this year, but he's been like this for years, man. He's always involved in some way, defensively, offensively, and shit. He said that he's involved on both sides of the ball. Like, dude, man, just step away, bro. Step away, handle your head coaching duties, and you got to let your court, or don't have any. Why do you have any then? If you're hands-on, if you're tweaking crap, why do you have any then? How are these guys supposed to do their jobs then to their full, what they want to do? If you're changing stuff, or if your hands are in there, if you want to do things your way, Mike, this isn't 2009 anymore, bro. This isn't 2009. And I agree. I think that they definitely need something different with coaching this year. that are going into the offseason. Obviously, we all know this. There needs to be difference. There needs to be difference in terms of what they do on both sides of the ball because things are stale and things have been that way for a while. So even though he's been successful, that's something that a lot of us agree on as things that need to change. We all know, at least in different areas of the coaching staff, there needs to be difference. There needs to be something that the Steelers get away from their ways and how they did things with Ben and how they operate with stuff. And even the Rooneys too. The Rooneys operate way too easily, man, as if it's still the old days. It's not, man. It's not. Teams are more aggressive now. And that's the way you're going to have to operate. Teams are more aggressive. Teams don't really necessarily, teams are not afraid to make changes. Or I should say, teams aren't afraid to make changes quicker than other teams before. And it's just one of those things that the whole shebang needs to go with the times. And I agree, Owen, the Rooneys are too soft. They've let things go on for a little while. They've let things stay stale. They've let things stay stagnant. And that's something that needs to change this offseason. That's what I said. It might take a season like this to change that, for that to be changed, at least in some type of way, which is my hope. And it's just the reality. It's just the reality. And I think maybe it's something that Tomlin has too much control on crap too. And it's not crapping on Tomlin. I've liked him throughout his tenure. There's things that I haven't agreed with either. I know that there's a lot of people that haven't liked him for a long time, and that's okay. That's everybody's take and opinion, stuff like that. But 100%, there needs to be some type of turnover with the coaching staff. There needs to be some new voices. There needs to be a difference in terms of the way they go about things, because it's when things go on for a long time, guys, like it sticks that way, and then it just starts like, it's a status quo. Yeah, whatever. It's just the same old thing. It's the same thing with press conferences, man. Who's excited to listen to that anymore? It's the same thing.
Yeah, well, it only works half the time.
Yeah, well, it only works
standard is the standard.
Freaking audio team is terrible.
Oh, they're the worst, dude.
Mike Tomlin's going to go on a run for 7-0. He's going to have a winning season. Book it.
There it is. Mark said it.
It's an easier schedule now. Go and beat the damn Colts. Don't let Jeff Saturday win. Go and beat the dang Falcons. Have a big match against the Ravens, which is going to be a hard match. And then you're in front. Yep. Give it a crack. But you're right.
Hey, and that's it. Like we're all on the same boat here. We're all on the same side. All of us in the chat, all of us online, all of us in here. We're on the same side. We're all Steelers fans. We want to see success. We want to see things grow. Ali, appreciate you tuning in, man. We're all on the same side here. Now, sure, we don't have the same opinions. We don't have the same ideas. We don't have the same things in terms of direction we would go. But we all know what needs to be done. We know there needs to be some turnover with the staff. We know that there needs to be there needs to be some different changes there, a new voice. Not necessarily saying head coach voice, but we know that they need to bring people in. We know the Rooneys need to start going with the times of the league. And those are all things we have to wait and see pan out. I'm just hoping that this offseason they're aggressive. I hope that the things that have happened this year will wake up this organization of finally making changes that have probably needed to be made for a little while. And that's ultimately my hope at this point in the season, aside from seeing the team have a good second half, aside from seeing some of these young guys start to flourish a little bit in the second half. That's what my hope is that it really opens up eyes that, hey, we see what we are. It's finally time. And I hope it happens. Will it happen? Who knows?
I'll tell you what we need.
Too confident on that. But we'll wait and see what happens.
I'll tell you what we need. We need Maurkice Pouncey to become the coach. That's what we need. If Jeff Saturday can do it, then ring up Maurkice Pouncey.
Pouncey is the head coach?
Yeah, if Jeff Saturday can do it, why not? I'm really intrigued about this game, But we're getting along in the tooth, man. I got to get going. I got to start doing some other stuff, guys. Yep. So let's wrap it up.
Yep. Guys, put your predictions in the chat. We're going to wrap up the show here, guys, as we early on kind of were just talking about some of the things in the Monday night game, what we expect, certain things we're still hoping to see the rest of the way at this point. And then obviously we're kind of just talking about some things that we know kind of need to be done and everything. But Mark, go ahead. What are you thinking about this game? How you feeling?
I just want to see him win, man. I just want to see him smash him, and I just want to see them like fucking have a go. You know what I mean? And then if they win this game, it's Monday Night Football. I just want to see them just. I don't know. I really like. I'm intrigued about Mike Tomlin versus Jeff Saturday. Like he's 1-1, and the Colts aren't gonna. It's their home. They're gonna play. They're gonna play pretty hard, I think. And if Matt Ryan carves us up, I'll be pretty pissed off. Be like, damn, because he's a good quarterback. He's been in the league a long time. He understands how to play this game. You know, he's a veteran quarterback. He's not a pushover. So just give it your all. But I could see it going both ways. If I'm going to call it, I'll probably say I don't think we're going to score many points. We did score 30 last week, but maybe 20. You know what? I'm going to say something even weirder. 19-17, we win.
Yeah, that's fair. It's
something,
a fair score,
like that.
It's a fair score.
That's pretty good. That's pretty
Daniel,
good.
how you feeling about Monday night? We know you said that you like the Steelers winning this game. What's the score?
Yeah, I think the Steelers are going to win. I think they win by more than 3 points.
We have some breathing room, huh?
We got some breathing room
for this game.
We got some breathing room. I think the Steelers are actually going to. They're actually going to put up 17 points in this game and win 17-9. I don't think the Colts. Yeah, I don't think the Colts are going to score a touchdown. I think that the defense is going to be bend but don't break in a couple of situations. And what I'm hoping for is that the 17 points don't all come in one quarter. Let's spread it out.
Yeah.
Let's
not have that either. I know. I'm tired of the sleep fest, man. I really am. I think that this game is going to be another sleep fest. I really do. I'm picking the Colts, guys. I'm picking the Colts to win this game.
Wow.
Colts are home.
Did you pick the Bengals last week?
I've been playing
you
well.
Picked the Bengals, didn't you?
But he changed his mind. He changed.
I changed it the last second.
That's right.
Everybody
changing
it.
it. Don't be
I changed it the
it.
last second. Yeah. So Jeff Saturday defeats Mike Tomlin in my prediction on Monday.
Dang.
What score?
I'm
what
saying
score?
1916 Colts.
1916. Good year, that one.
Yeah.
Good year.
1916 Colts
probably
win.
Probably a really bad year, actually. A really bad year.
That?
Looking back at history, it's a really bad year.
Yeah. It's before the Great Depression, bro. It's all right.
It's going to be pretty bad. But yeah, this game's going to be a sleep fest. We know this isn't going to be a high-scoring game from either side
1916.
here.
That's going to be a lot of punts.
Yeah. Yep. So we're going to see some 3-and-outs. We're going to see some punts. We're going to see some sleeping. We're going to see a fly going in somebody's mouth while somebody's watching the game. It's going to be freaking brutal, guys. But yeah, I just want to see this game. I want to see a little bit. I want to continue to see some more Najee Harris, man. I want to see some more of him. I want to see a little bit more in the middle of the field. I feel like the Colts are going to kind of continue to play them the way a lot of teams have been. I want to see that, and I would love to see multiple sacks on Matt Ryan. I would love to see that and everything. Steelers definitely can win this game, but I think with just kind of the way we've seen certain things, I kind of like the Colts go and kind of how they've been playing defensively, and they've kind of been getting things going a little bit offensively as well, and stuff like that. So I don't know. Obviously, I want the Steelers to win. I want them to have a strong second half, guys. But that's going to be it, guys, on episode 20, the Unofficial Steelers Podcast. Guys, hit the thumbs up. Guys, hit the subscribe on my channel if you haven't. Go to Mark Steeler Nation Australia, Daniel's State of the Steelers. We appreciate all you guys that come in and tune in and join our streams. We appreciate your comments as well and your thoughts and everything. We'll be back on Tuesday on Mark's channel, right? I believe on Mark's channel. Tuesday on Mark's channel.
Yeah, that's my Wednesday, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's
after the game, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, you guys all have a good rest of your weekend. Enjoy the games tomorrow. And Mark and Daniel, as always, pleasure. And go Steelers, guys. Let's hope the Steelers take home the W on Monday. And we see some good things. That's what we're hoping for. But just make sure, guys, you don't take any NyQuil because this game will probably do the job for you. So anyway, have a good night, guys. Have a good weekend. And we will see you on Tuesday on Steeler Nation Australia. And 1 second.